Okay, I think we want to talk about, let's talk to Wesley, who's calling in from West Virginia. Wesley, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hello. Yeah, I'm Wesley Lawrence Curry II. I like him. I'm in Huntington, West Virginia.
Okay.
Great. Welcome to Truth Wanted. Wesley, what can we talk to you about?
Well, I believe that you were attacked spiritually. And I want to help you understand what it was that attacked you so that you won't be fooled by it. And I would like to also tell about what is shortly to come to pass.
Okay, wait. Me, Objectively Dan, I personally have been spiritually attacked.
Yeah. I believe we all were.
Everybody. On Earth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm listening.
How do you figure?
The words, "I will turn and toss you violently like a ball."
What does that mean?
October 10th. It doesn't mean anything. It was the devil. It was Satan himself. October 10, 2005. And he attacked me. It paralyzed me in my bed like I was being electrocuted. Like a fire pulled down from heaven upon me. I couldn't move, totally paralyzed. And in my mind, the insult, "I will turn and toss you violently like a ball," the words of Satan himself. He had perverted words that Jesus wrote in Isaiah chapter 22. The words that Jesus said were, "The Lord will turn and toss you violently like a ball into a large country. There thou shalt die, and there the chariots of thy glory shall be the shame of the Lord's house." So that was the first attack.
Okay. That's a very intense experience.
Yeah, it was. It was not pleasant at all. Yeah. And then I believe he attacked everybody saying the words, "Don't tell the vision." Precisely March 31st, 2020.
Okay.
So that's two of the big attacks.
So it sounds like that these are experiences that happened to you that you believe happened.
The second one he did not enter me, and I did not hear him say it. I only perceive it. I wasn't paralyzed that night. I was sitting in a chair in my apartment in Wayne, West Virginia, and I just perceived, I just knew it happened. I cannot explain to you how, other than possibly I'm anointed or something like that.
Okay. Well, that's obviously a very, very serious experience, right? I can tell that this has obviously emotionally affected you. Let's talk about, let's break it down one at a time.
Physically, it'd be like a man walking into your children's rooms and laying on their body and holding them down. And yelling in their ears without them being able to fight against it. And
that's definitely really intense, Wesley. Like you're not going to hear any arguments from me about the intensity of your experience. That sounds like a very scary thing. But I am very curious because that experience is very contrary to my worldview, right? And I think also to Robert's worldview. Absolutely. In our worldview, we don't really have room for spiritual forces, right? We do accept that there's people that say that there are spiritual forces and that they've had spiritual experiences, but we tend to typically believe that there may be alternative explanations as to why that might have happened. So can I ask you, what makes you so sure that what happened to you was specifically a supernatural or, a spiritual experience rather than some other explanation?
Knowledge in the Bible and faith.
Okay, so it was knowledge in the Bible that gave you the understanding that your experience was a spiritual one.
Yes.
Okay, so if you didn't have that knowledge of the Bible, let's say you didn't have that knowledge, would you have interpreted it as a spiritual experience?
If I hadn't had that, I would have to give you an imagined answer. But let's say that I didn't know the Bible. I would have thought it was some kind of sleep paralysis and some kind of psychotic mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Some psychological factor, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
I would
In worldly terms, yes.
I agree with you, Wesley. Like that, to me, when you describe your experiences, both of those two things came up to me as possible explanations. Now, I also have
Well,
knowledge of the Bible. Granted, I'm not a Christian anymore, but I will say I've never quite had an experience like that. So,
Me either.
that
Okay.
is maybe going to be a difference between your worldview and mine. I'm not sure how I'd be able to convince myself that your experience was that of a spiritual one. What do you think you would have to do to convince
All right.
me of that?
Well, I just wanted to say that as words, and I also would hope to we can speak now about the one world order and how the rapture will begin. The one world order being what will be called the Omni tattoo or the Omni mark, a $32,000 account of Egyptian oil bank money will be released. And every person branded gets 32.
You getting real specific. So
I don't.
what were you?
I want to try to take things one step at a time here, just to make sure that like we're on the same page. Because I do believe once again that you had a very intense experience that like obviously affected your worldview, and I'm very curious about that because it sounds like without that experience, you would perceive the world differently. Like, is that true? Like, do you feel like your perception of the world changed after that experience?
I'm still the wicked old bastard I ever was. If that's what you mean.
Oh no, I just mean, well, look, I don't have, like I said, I don't have room in my worldview for spiritual forces, right? Like there's nothing that I've ever heard in my lifetime that has really made me think at the end of the day, at least where I stand currently, like, yes, that probably points to something that's beyond humanity, something metaphysical, right? So like I want to be able to make that leap. I want to know how you got there.
Yeah. Well, knowing that has caused me to look at people differently. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would imagine it would. So let's I want to know this though. Like, in my worldview, I think you either probably had a sleep paralysis experience or some other sort of, mental difficulty. Why do you rule those experiences out? What do you think makes those less likely?
Well, I believe it is the fire pulled down from heaven. When Satan said, "Don't tell the vision," I did see with my eyes a spirit, an unclean spirit, like a frog. On its throat were two fangs that were curved like Arabian daggers. They looked like rails, curved rails for a railroad, and they pointed up, but they were not in the mouth. The spirit was black. It was blind. It had no ears. And on its forehead was that mark, that Omni UPC barcode. I saw that with my eyes. I only saw it for a brief moment on a person that I used to know. And I believe that came out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false teacher, I saw an unclean spirit like a frog. And when Satan said, "Don't tell the vision," that was the moment the dragon, out of his mouth came the unclean spirit like a frog. And I believe that is the first of three of those events.
Yeah. Okay.
It looked like Darth Kermit. Do you remember Darth Vader?
Yeah, and I've seen the memes of like Darth Kermit and stuff, right? I've been asking you a lot of questions because I like to go kind of down my thought train with it, and I want to give Robert just a quick chance to talk to you, and then let's see if we can like go anywhere with this conversation because I'm curious, but I don't know. What do you think, Robert?
Yeah, I think it could be some psychological factors, like we alluded to. Dreams can be influenced by thoughts and our emotions and our subconscious. So it could be. Was there anything that happened before that you experienced before that, or?
Not really. It wasn't a dream. Those words, "Don't tell the vision," or "I will turn and toss you violently like a ball." It was a physical event.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And I
That
believe,
sounds really
that several times, other than it didn't speak, it merely paralyzed. That there were other times that Jesus loosened Satan, and Satan chose not to say words, only to paralyze the body. Those dates I couldn't tell you when that is. And I can't really blame you, and I have to understand you for saying, was that a psychological sleep apnea or paralyze or sleep paralysis, or maybe a what is it they call that when people have contractions or their body jerks, a palsy? I couldn't blame you for thinking that it might possibly be something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those.
That's really all I know. That's really all I know about it. I really couldn't alliterate more about it than that.
Sure. Okay. Well, maybe that's a good place for us to kind of wrap things up, because I do want to take at least one more caller before the end of the show. So, Wesley, I think I'm going to go ahead and let you go here. But thank you for sharing your experience with us. And I wish you well. Obviously, we have a very different worldview than Wesley does.